Hi everybody, Diana here at Sew Uncommon. Welcome into Quilt Lab. Quilt Lab is our show that's all about, it's typically on Sundays, and it's all about kind of a block of the month that comes in 3 sizes. When you purchase your pattern, you get 3 sizes and you get all the instructions, and then of course the how-to videos. And here at Sew Uncommon, we are all about doing my Build a Quilt system, and that system is about quilting in the hoop. I call it the 21st century way for patchwork because we don't just do finished quilting in the hoop, we do our patchwork in the hoop as well. So thank you so much for joining us today. Now, today in Quilt Lab, it is all about finishing the Aurora project. That was our project this month. It was a beautiful new runner in kind of a unique shape for us. But it's all based on our block of the month for May, which was the Blooming Star block. And the Blooming Star block, and what we've been talking about this month really, has been putting blocks on point. And I wanted to do that this month because coming in June, we have a new set coming out, which is all about triangles to help you put blocks on point, different size blocks on point. That stuff is going out to testers this week. And I think I have to have it to them no later than Tuesday. I might have it to you guys sooner than that. But it depends on how much I can get done this weekend, given that it's Memorial Day weekend, right? But the Blooming Star block, if you notice, we have this center quarter square triangle block. And then we added triangles to it, which put that whole piece into point. And then by adding fancy triangles, or what I call modified flying geese corners, to these 4 corners, it put this whole piece on point and then turned it back into our block. So by just using triangles, you can do that. Now that's kind of how you do it in traditional patchwork as well. But with traditional patchwork, there's a lot of measuring and math and that kind of stuff. And you don't have that with Sew Uncommon because they're all digitized. So they're all created to be the right size for your blocks. So that's what this month has been around. And then we did the Aurora runner. This is the finished one, guys. Doesn't she look great? I love her. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the quilting, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the batting I chose to use and some information about that, okay? And then, let me share with you, I have a new office chair too. She's a beaut too. She goes up higher so I can sit higher and I don't have to sit. In my old chair when I filmed, guys, you didn't know this, but I was always sitting on books or pads or a box or whatever I could to bring me up a little bit higher. But this chair goes up higher. It's really nice. I like that it's this silver and white kind of color. So it's got a really cool headrest to it as well, but I have a weird neck and I can't use headrests because they give me a really bad headache. So I didn't put mine on, but it would look very futuristic if I put that on. It's pretty cool looking. So that was a nice surprise this week. But this week, what I've worked on mainly was getting our last Riley Blake block done. Mine's actually still over on the design board. In fact, hang on, take a look at the beautiful chair. I'm going to grab it. I should have brought it over with me and I forgot. Because this week was our very last Riley Blake Block Challenge block. Okay. And then next week, I think they're supposed to give us some finishing stuff, and I will try to build a quiltitize that for you guys as well. But I've already told you, I'm not putting any of the sashing or anything on mine. I'm putting my blocks together. In fact, if you have not seen that video yet for this week's Build a Quilt, I actually show you the finished layout that Riley Blake is using, and then I show you my version because you can finish this up however you want. But this was this week's block called Point of View or On Point or something like that. But it was about pointing. And you can see why with all these lovely flying geese and all of that. It was super simple to make. I will show you how you can get your Riley Blake blocks at the end. But besides getting that all ready for us this week, I was finishing up my Aurora. Isn't she pretty? Love her. Now, for the quilting, I used a light lavender, kind of a cross between the lavender in here and the light lavender in the piecing. That's the color I used for my quilting because I kind of wanted it to go into the design and have the piecing stand out a little more. That's how I like to quilt. And I was originally going to do a really easy meander kind of a design, but let's talk about this for a second. I usually digitize and create my own quilting designs. Have been doing that for several years now. However, I've shared with you before, Kimberbell, if you are stuck for finding designs, go to kimberbell.com. They have some of the most beautiful quilting designs, and you can buy them in sets. I think usually the single sets, which you get all kinds of shapes, or not shapes, but, well, you do get rectangles, squares. I think you might even get corners, but they're like $12 and you get a ton of sizes. They're fantastic. And I personally own a lot of them. And every time they come out with new ones, I have to decide whether or not I want to put those into my quilting budget for the month or wait a little bit because I just love them so much. But some of you, like me, may also have some software that is for creating quilting designs, or that gives you quilting designs and lets you resize them and stuff like that. And I have that too. You know, I have all the stuff, right? But I forget sometimes to use it, which is sad because I should be using that software and those designs more often instead of, for one, it saves me time and kind of saves me money too, in the fact that I've already paid for those. I should be using them. So I went looking through some of them this week when I went to quilt my Aurora. And I looked at my Kimberbells, and because of the special shape of Aurora, you can kind of see her. And remember, all about the idea of putting something on point. So her center is right on point. I decided that I didn't want to use the Kimberbell designs. There was one really pretty one, really pretty. It was just kind of floaty and fluffy, and it was just kind of a design. It wasn't anything like a specific. A lot of times they'll put little houses or animals or tools or thread spools, stuff like that in their designs, which I love. It wasn't that. This was just like an overall ruffly, cloudy kind of a thing. And I thought, well, maybe I would use that. But I was going to have to put it in my digitizing software. I was going to have to redigitize it for the triangle and stuff like that. And I didn't want to do that. And so I went in looking in this software that I've had for a while. It's kind of an older software and it's great. I just don't use it anymore since I do my own now. But I thought, you know what? Why not look and see? And I forgot there's a whole section in there where they have sets. There will be like a circle and a square and a triangle and maybe like one other. And they're all the same design and they're created to be used as a set in different ways. And I thought, oh, because they had a triangle and a circle. And I just thought, you know, since everything in here is kind of square, I would add my design in, and it's a circle to kind of bump it up a little bit, right? Make it a little bit different. So I chose this. Again, this to me looks kind of like, I think it was just called a floral, but it kind of looks to me like a chrysanthemum. This is my template and it has no more sticky on it, none at all. And so it kind of reminded me of a chrysanthemum, and I love chrysanthemums. I think they're beautiful. So I decided, why not use that is in my circles? So I did. I put it right in the center of every four patch within the body of the Aurora. But then I looked, and they have within it, they had a triangle as well. Now the triangle is meant to be like this, but I rotated it and resized it. I resized both of these so they would fit in my Aurora. And sure enough, if that didn't work out beautifully, I love it. I love it. I love it. And I've talked to you all before and done a demo for you before on sizing your designs, how to measure your design so that you can put it all in there and get it to fit in your area. So I think my blocks are, I think they're 5x5. So I created this as a 4x4. That way it fits. There's a little bit of fabric around. And so between each set, I get that puffy quilty look, which I love. I love that look. And so that's what I did for my quilting. But you can do anything you want for your quilting. If you want to do a meander or stipple, go for it. I think it would be great. Remember, it kind of can be influenced by the fabric you chose to use. These are the fabrics I chose to use: my yellow, my dark purple, my light purple, and I chose this pattern as my medium purple. And you can see how it turned out. Just turned out beautiful. Mm-hmm. Love it, love it, love it. So when you quilt, I always start in the center, work up, work down, and then kind of zigzag my way across from the center right, and then I work my way across to the left in that same way as well. And so I had 5, 10, I had 10 hoopings of this and then 2 hoopings of the triangle. So I think I got the whole thing quilted in less than an hour. It went really quickly because I think I turned my machine setting down to 500 stitches per minute. And that's a little bit medium to slow. But I wanted to do that because even though had washed out my stabilizer, I always like to give the needle an easy transition into any area of bulk, which in your seams you can get in these points, you can get a little bulk. If you slow it down, your needle will penetrate it easier and you'll end up not having like your needle break and stuff like that. And because I chose to use, and here's the other part I want to talk to you guys about, I chose to use some of this birdie bird batting that I still had. Now, I talked to you guys about this. Oh, I did the demo a few months ago, I think. I bought like the minimum quantity, I think was a yard, but it's really wide, so you get a ton of it. And it's this batting that has the flannel stitched onto this so that you don't have to baste. I have a review video out there if you want to watch that. But I don't use this for larger quilts. I think it makes them too heavy for me. That's a personal choice. And I think they definitely are too heavy for wall quilts because this extra flannel stays in, adds weight, and gravity will pull that down quicker and faster. And it's already hard enough to get wall quilts to hang. That's why I've been telling you that 30x30 to up to maybe 60x60, anywhere in there is going to be the sweet spot for a wall quilt because it's beautiful. You can see the design and it's not too heavy. I don't like to do rectangular wall quilts because they will pull more than a square quilt will. So, but for this piece, turned out fine. It is a little stiff. I will tell you that, even though I've washed out the stabilizer, because of the birdie bird batting being that 2 layers. And here's the other thing, guys. This design, the one thing I didn't like about it, it wasn't a single run stitch. It was kind of a forward, back, forward, forward, back, forward, that kind of a bean stitch, which I think is beautiful on things, but I don't necessarily like it on quilting because it does make the quilting denser. And by making it denser, that also makes it stiffer. So between the birdie bird batting being those 2 layers and the stiffness of this, I just thought that this turned out a little stiffer than I wanted it to. However, once I wash this whole piece a few times, it'll loosen up some more. But I do like that the stiffness allows it to lay really nice and flatly on my table. So that's the quilting and the birdie bird batting scenario going on right there. Now at the end of this, I have like a 3-minute video clip that tells you kind of how I laid that out on my batting, how I cut it. and how I chose to do the binding. And I give you a tip in there for binding into those corners. And you can choose to do regular binding, or you can choose, a traditional type of binding, or like I did, you can do that self-binding. I love self-binding for small projects. And so that's just kind of my go-to. That's entirely up to you. And I do have some binding videos on here. If you're new to this kind of quilting technique, I do have some binding videos on here to help you out with that if you need them. But stay tuned for those little clips. Now, I want to share with you, we've got a couple of things going on, and some of you have noticed this week. But for those of you that haven't, I started a couple new, I wouldn't call them series, I would call them types of videos that I'm calling minis. So you know that we have shorts. Those are YouTube shorts, video shorts that are 60 seconds or less. And I try to put one of those out to you most days of the week, at least 5, if not sometimes all 7 days of the week. But sometimes there are little sections of things that I want to share with you that don't lend themselves to an announcing we're going live so I can share you. It doesn't really lend themselves to being a full-length video because it's in that kind of a sweet spot of 5 to 10 minutes. That's all it is. And so we're calling those Quilt Lab minis and Sew and Common minis. The Quilt Lab minis will always have something to do with the current block of the month or the current project. And so this week I put out 2 Quilt Lab minis on the Aurora. Different things about the Aurora. Check those out. They're nice and short, informative, and that's a little extra information about the monthly project and the monthly block. Now, the Sew and Common minis, here's where all of you can really take part in those minis, because this week's mini was an answer to a viewer question. And so the Sew and Common minis are going to be used as, I'll do lots of stuff in them, but they're going to be used a lot of times to answer your questions in video form. And so because we have so many new people always coming in to be with us here at Sew and Common, which we're thrilled, aren't we thrilled? You guys, we're like part of this mega huge group of quilters together. I love it. We're like over 416,000 quilters now that quilt with us. Isn't that wonderful? But we have a lot. That means we're always have a lot of new people. Or we might even have people that aren't quite so new anymore. They've been quilting with us maybe a year, year and a half, but they still are learning things. Or maybe, like me, I've been quilting over 55 years, like some of you, but I don't know it all. I always have things to learn. So these are going to be videos, the Sew and Common minis, where I answer your questions. And so this week's one was a great question, you guys. The viewer said, I've been told I can't use my pretty colored threads when I do my patchwork, that I can only use a neutral. Can you tell me which neutral I should use? Good question, isn't it, guys? Isn't that a great question? And those of us who have been quilting forever know that being told that you can't use your pretty color thread is not true. There's no rule that says you can only use neutral thread during the patchwork process. So in this week's mini, I talk about that. I talk about neutrals versus when and why and how you might want to use your pretty color thread, because I know sometimes I get thread and I love it so much. Typically, I use my pretty thread on my finished quilting. Like on Little Miss Aurora here, I used a really pretty lavender that is so good. It blends in right with the, it blends in just perfectly, almost invisibly with all of these solids or Kona solids. It blends in beautifully with that. And I like my quilting to recede into the project, so I try to blend like that, and it turned out wonderfully. But sometimes I get a thread and I just want to come home and sew with it because it's such a pretty color. It's so gorgeous. That's okay. That's fine. And I share with you in that mini video when, why, and how, all of that. And so that was an answer to a question. Now, I won't give out viewers' names and information and stuff like this because if one person has that question, a whole bunch of people do. And I don't want anyone to be embarrassed about asking their questions or anything like that. And the way to get your question on the list for a mini video is to leave your question in the comments of a mini video. Then I'll get that information and I will make it into a mini video for you. And those are the Sew in Common minis. I actually have another thread one coming up because someone else had sent me a question about cotton versus polyester versus metallic thread. So you can look for that Sew in Common mini coming up in this coming week. So those are two new kinds of videos I've got coming out for us now. Now, one more big thing that I want to remind you is that Build a Quilt Basics 1 and Build a Quilt Basics 2 are now on sale. Rock bottom, guys. They're down to $25 a set. They were, I think, originally $75 a set. Because at the end of May, which is just the end of this coming week, these sets are going away. And what is out there in inventory now is all the inventory there's going to be. I'm not going to restock them because we're going to be doing something different. But these are your basics. You need these for doing your quilting. If you want to be a build-a-quilter or a machine embroidery type quilter, patchworker, you need your basic, the most basic segments that we have. And half square triangle, square, quarter square triangle in 4 sizes. Plus you get how-to videos on all of the segments, your flying geese, your split rail, and your diamond in a square in set 2 comes in 3 sizes. So you're going to want those. If you haven't gotten them yet, you need to get them. And I put them down at the lowest price that they will go. And what's out there is out there. So run now. Don't walk. Get your little fingers on that board. Go to the website and grab yourself these while they're still there because they're not coming back, at least not in this format. Okay. All righty. Just giving you something to think about there. All right, everybody. Now, this week, again, we don't have Wednesday workshop in May, and we're not having it in the first week of June. Because remember, I shared with you last week, Wednesday workshop is going live. That's right. We're going to be having Wednesday workshops are going to be live. They're going to be every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you'll have to figure out what that is for you, wherever you live, in what time zone you live, or what part of the country you live. Now, those videos will stay up on the channel. So if you can't watch them because, you know, I'm sorry, Diana, it's 2 in the morning where I live. I can't watch it at that time. That's okay. You can watch it later. That's fine. But so many of you wanted live things that we're going to do Wednesday workshop lives. And Wednesday workshop lives are about build a quilt. We don't do other people's projects or other people's things in there. We're doing build a quilt. Blocks, projects, all kinds of stuff. It's going to be new. It's going to be different from what we've been doing. And while we're in there, you can ask your questions. You can talk with one another. You can tell me, Diana, this is crazy. I don't care. We're just going to have a lot of fun together. It's going to be our time together. Alrighty. So that starts again in June. Let me check my calendar again because I keep wanting to say the 15th and that's wrong. I had to check last week too. It's wrong. I have to check the calendar. It is the 12th, June 12th. Wednesday, June 12th, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Quilt Lab live. Oh, I can't wait, you guys. I can't wait. So mark your calendar. Get your calendars out now and just go down the calendar and make a big circle around Wednesday and just write on it, Quilt Lab, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you know, okay? And that's the time you say, hey, fam, this is my time. This is my 1 hour. Now, I'll tell you this. I know that on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, there is another quilting. It's a quilting store that has a big sale on Wednesday nights. And I know a lot of you go to it because I do too. You guys don't know it, but I see you there. Hey, that's what we do, right? We support one another. And so I know a lot of you go to it. And so Wednesday workshop will always only be 1 hour. So we will cut off and then you can run over to that other live event if you want to on Wednesdays. I won't keep you beyond that hour because I want to get over there and take advantage of deals and meet my other friends and chit chat and stuff with them as well. So that's the way Wednesday workshop is coming back, but not until June 12th. Okay. All right, everybody. Again, at the end here, there's that little, I think the clips in this one are just like, it's like 3 to 4 minutes. It's just some really quick little tips that I'm giving you for finishing your Aurora runner. Please post pictures over at our Facebook group, Sew and Comment. I'd love to see your finished projects. And as always, welcome to all of our new subscribers. Oh my gosh, there's just so many of you. If I had a list of all of our subscribers now by name, I know it would like fill a 3-ring binder. It's so many. And I just can't tell you how thrilled I am. So welcome, 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 welcome to all of you. Now, if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe, click the little bell to set your notifications. That way you'll know when a mini comes out or a video comes out, or if I go live. Sometimes I get a wild hair, like I always get wild hairs in my eyes, and I go live. And so you'll get notified of that and you'll be able to join and go, hey, Diana, what are you doing live today? And we can chit chat together then too. So please do that. And as always, folks, please like and share the videos. That's how the group has grown. And you must be doing it still because we keep growing by leaps and bounds. And I can't thank you enough for that. It is a pleasure to be with you for Quilt Lab and Wednesday workshop. And we're almost done with Riley Blake. What are we going to do when we don't have Riley Blake Thursdays anymore, guys? Maybe we'll come up with something new. What do you think? Got ideas? Leave them in the comments. You want something else in regards to what we could do instead of Riley Blake Thursdays? Leave them in the comments. We'll see. We'll check it out and see. Maybe it's something we can work into Wednesday workshop or something too. Who knows? All right, everybody. I almost forgot. If you want to get your blooming star pattern, you get the files, the digital files for and instructions for 3 sizes. This month was 6x6, 8x8, and 10x10. This is your 10x10, so that's the largest one. It fits in with the Riley Blake Block Challenge blocks because all of these are 10x10. And the Riley Blake Block Challenge blocks in the Build a Quilt system are completely free, and they're all at the website too. Those are going to stay up until Wednesday workshop begins on the 12th of June. Then the Riley Blake blocks are coming down just for a little bit. I want to group them all into 1 or 2 sets and put them out there. They'll still be free, but I don't want you to have to go looking for all 16 of them independently. I want you to get them like all in one go at that point. I've had to do them singly this time because that's how we get them once a week. So I'm just going to make that a little easier for you guys. But right now you can get all of them over there. All of them will say Riley Blake Challenge and the block or the week number on there, and you'll see the picture as well. So go ahead and grab those. And please, guys, don't let your ability to get your basics 1 and 2 sets go by. Get them now. Just head right on over there and get them now. I know a lot of you have them, but I know a lot of you don't have them yet. And this is how you take Patchwork in the Hoop and you start creating all the quilts that you want to create, from patterns that have been already published, things you want to create on your own, any of our Build a Quilt stuff, all of that. So these $25 a set, that's as low as they've ever been. And as soon as the end of May 31st comes, they're going away in this format. Okay. All right. More about that to come later on, but it won't come probably until the end of the summer. So get them now, get them while they're on sale. And all of that is at our website, sewandcommon.com. All right, everybody. Now I'm done. I'm done for the day. Watch the rest of the little videos, guys, at the end. And as always, thank you so much for joining me. It's always my pleasure. And go sew like beautiful. Bye for now. Okay, everybody, here I just wanted to show you in this little video
the layout prepping for quilting. I need to straighten out a few things. That's a little wrinkly there, so I need to straighten that out. But I have used some of that Birdie Bird batting that I had done a demo for us and a review for us earlier in the year, trying to use it up on these small projects to finish up with what I have purchased for that. Now, if you'll notice, I have trimmed around the piece about 2 inches. I wouldn't go less than that. 3 might be better in case you have any slippage, but this should work out okay for this small piece. And I'm going to be quilting it. I went into software that I have, and I chose this design that I'm going to do up in the point here, and then again in the point down here. And then I chose the same one and made it into a circle, and I'm going to be putting it in every, whoops, not that one, every 4 patch. So I'm going to have 2 rows of these in the 4 patch. It's going to turn out looking really cute. But these are my templates for lining up. You can see I have my crosshairs on both of them so that I can line them up with the seam lines and get them perfectly into place. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll have 12 hoopings for this, which will be quick and easy, and then 2 hoopings for my triangle. The next thing I'll show you is over at the machine doing the quilting. Okay, everybody, now you can see that I have trimmed away the excess batting, and I'm ready to start. I am going to do that good old-fashioned self-binding technique with this piece, with the fabric. All my solids here are Kona cottons, and I'm going to do that self-binding technique because I think when we get in here to these inner points, you're going to want to cut, just make a slit right, not all the way to your stitch mark, a little bit before that, but you're going to want to make a stitch so that when you go to fold your batting, or your binding, excuse me, it's going to fold at an angle the way it should. And I think it'll be easier to do it with this self-binding technique than it will be to do a traditional binding, especially for beginners. Now I still have to wash and press this and all, but that's what I'm going to do. So after I trim this, I'm going to measure, and then I'm going to be cutting all the way around. I'm going to use my ruler to mark and cut all the way around. When I get up to this corner, I will put and just keep cutting all the way around 1 inch. And that way when I fold it, I'll get a nice binding on my edges. Okay, so the next time you see this, it should be almost done.